Uh, since this will be the last session, apart from the closing for Andrea Rigoni, I want to make a short note about the success, I would say, thanks to Olaf, of the previous session that may guide also some of the considerations that will be made in this last session. One of the points that were mentioned in the session before was what is the position of decision makers? Who are the skeptics? And making the advocate of the devil, I think that there is an effort to be made in our conclusion concerning the word that we use, that is trust, and the chain of trust that will be started by the implementation of DNSS. And of course, the decision makers want to have some measures. What exactly means? How you measure the trust? How you measure the advantages you get from implementing the DNSS technology? And then another point that we treated not so much was about the problem of complication, let's say, of the management of DNS connected to implementing DNSSEC and all the applications that will follow on. Because, of course, the increasing security means, of course, in the network also increasing the costs. It's like protecting the personal houses. You have the market of protection of the houses, alarm and things like that. You have the people going around to ensure that there will be no criminals going around in the houses and so on. So, of course, the general problem of security in the network will imply some sort of complications and even cost. And then, looking at DNSSEC, who is paying the cost? Initially, will be the registries paying the cost, but in the end, there will be, with the applications and with the ongoing and general adoption of DNS in the network, also costs for other entities different from the registries. And looking at the registries, we had this experience of looking of registries that already started DNSSEC in Europe, starting from Sweden, then Switzerland, then Czech, and Portugal. And then we pointed the attention here on the other registries that are not yet DNSSEC compatible, and we have been observing the .post, and we learned that the registry should be activated by the end of the year, and certainly with DNSSEC compatible since the beginning, and this is an important result. Then we had the presentation of .it, that is, of course, the most important registry in Italy, but also we invited the representative from Vatican, because we have .va in Italy, that is for Vatican City. And then we invited also San Marino, that is, I doubt they are present here, but is another registry living in Italian territory. So this is a very important achievement, in my opinion, in our seminar. And we are going now to have some important presentation that perhaps will clarify even more some of the results that we obtained in the last session. So in the program we have 4 presentations. I will introduce a 5th one that is a note from Rita Forzi, that is the director of the ISCOM, the Institute of the Ministry of Telecommunication, now Department of Economic Development in Italy, that is on the other side of the street. And also Rita is the Italian representative in ENISA, and we are going to have a presentation from ENISA in this session. And she also joined me since the last meeting of ICANN in Brussels as a GAC representative for Italy. Thank you. Rita.
Thanks to Stefano. Good morning, everybody. Stefano said all what I want to say. Okay, my name is Rita Forzi, and I am the General Director of I Institute of Communication and Information Technology. This is the technical scientific body of the old Ministry of Communication in Italy. But now we have a big ministry, the Ministry of Economic Development, and we are a department of this new ministry. Department of Communication, and under the department there is the I Institute. I want to thank the organization of this meeting for the invitation. In particular, I would like to thank Mr. Andrea Rigoni. He knows our institute, and I am always very interested in sharing information, experience, and activity regarding our institute. That is my mission. No more than 50. So I am going to present only a few slides regarding the role of Institute of the Department Communication, and as I have said, I have presented this slide to Security Summit in this month, no, the last month, 9 and 10 of June in Rome. And there is a, okay, this is the most important slide for me. This is the situation of our laboratories. These are laboratories about wired communication, wireless communication, and service and application. Only we have other slide, but this is the most important aspect of our field of activity. There is a technical activity, and we also supply services in certification field. Certification of about informatic and security, information security. Last year in April, I was appointed as Italian representative in the management board of ENISA. Our ministry gave me the mission to underline the role of ENISA and to make all our best to support ENISA and its effort in working about information security and raising awareness regarding new problems affecting networks. So I have done my best until now, and I would like to continue in this direction. Our ministry wants to continue to support ENISA because believes in ENISA. I met for the last year also. I met for the first time Mr. Agostino Ragosa, Poste Italiane, and then Andrea Rigoni. And so Mr. Agostino Ragosa in the conference of Tallinn, do you remember? On about the critical infrastructure. And so for this reason, I am here today. I think, I like to think I am here today, not only because I am the Italian representative in ENISA. So I think you continue to see other slides, but I want to say only a few words in my presentation. And so I want furthermore point out the opportunity I had the last year in June, also in Vienna, to participate at a meeting of permanent stakeholder group of ENISA with the management board. It was a meeting of this group with the management board. It was a very interesting opportunity for representative of the most important enterprises operating in ICT and in ICT sectors, and also, in my opinion, for the management board. Today, we are focused as institute, and myself in particular, we are focused to improve studies and application on information security. And I hope in a good cooperation between all that are involved in this kind of activity. So I finish here, and I thank you.
Thanks, Rita. And now pass the word to Olaf that will entertain us on something. He announced that will not speak only of tools.
Well, I will speak of tools, but I decided to do something a little bit different than I was than I planned to set out, because my initial plan was to explain to you all where tooling was necessary. That was something that Jim did yesterday too. In a sense, he mentioned tooling for registry business, for registry interactions, for tooling for your domain, your DNS maintenance, tooling for keys, for getting keys into your system and out of your system. And my initial plan was to sort of give an overview of where tooling is needed without going into the specifics of the tool. But one of the things that I heard this morning is about tooling and who pays the costs for them. And I want to use my own organization as an example, not because not for pounding my own chest, but because I believe that there are a number of organizations that have been spending resources and time over the last 10 years to get DNSSEC from the ground with a focus on on making the internet better. With the risk of putting names on them, a few of those organizations are Sparta, are Syncuro, as from people who are here. But another important party here is IAC, the developers of Bind. They were the first to actually make an implementation of DNSSEC software that was freely available and that people could test in labs and so on and so forth. I believe that my personal history in DNSSEC involvement is sort of typical for the people who were jumping on the bandwagon. I started to become involved in DNSSEC at the RIPE NCC. I was working at the RIPE NCC as a system engineer, system architect, and Daniel Karenberg, at that time and still the chief scientist there, said, I think there's a role for the RIPE NCC as a tech community, as a place where we can do technical development for the good of the internet, in going and implementing DNSSEC ourselves and thereby gaining experience which we share with the rest of the industry. That was the intention. That was the project I became program manager of, or project leader, whatever you want to call it. And in the course of doing so, we did a number of things. We developed documentation, freely downloadable, for people who wanted to try themselves. We participated in all kinds of workshops to actually see if things worked. This is also where we met the Swedes that were heavily involved at those times. People from IACs flying in, people from Sparta coming to workshops that were organized all over the planet. All these people came in with the idea not to make a fast buck, not at all with the idea to make a fast buck, but with the idea to lead by example. With the idea that if you do things yourself operationally, you can teach other people, you can gain experience and teach other people how to use it. DNSSEC has taken hold of my career path, and I moved to Nelnet Labs, one of the other organizations that was one of the early players. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Nelnet point of view is, because I can speak for that. I cannot speak for why IEC is in this business, or Sparta is in this business, or other people are in this business. But I sincerely believe that if we want to get DNSSEC deployment going, we need to have the tools available for people to pick up from the shelf. And people need to have a choice, because if you want to do DNSSEC deployment, one solution might not fit your organization. The solutions that are freely available, some might fit your organization and the way you do things, and others might not. So what we try to do is try to listen to the community, whoever those people are, and say, oh, maybe there's a need there. Let's try and build a tool, something that people can use. One of the first places where we did that was with NSD. NSD was developed 10 years ago. It's an authoritative name server. It was developed 10 years ago specifically with the focus that all the name servers that were operated on the root were basically one code base. And it's fairly, from a security point of view, it's important that you have multiple code bases, because if there is a vulnerability in one, you could take out a system. If you have multiple components with different code bases, with different vulnerabilities, building the system and providing resiliency, you're just better off. So although there was open source and freely available code to run DNS, we decided, let's do another implementation, just to make sure that there's more secure